My sister planned her anniversary party over my dream job interview day. My family said, "You shouldn't even apply, you'll just fail." My sister mocked, "You're pathetic thinking you're good enough." I stayed quiet and showed up for the interview. The next day, they begged for my help. Last month at my parents' house, we were sitting around the dinner table when my sister dropped her big news. "We're throwing a huge anniversary party next Saturday. It's gonna be amazing," Savannah said, smiling like she had just won the lottery. I looked up from my plate, heart pounding. Next Saturday? I have my final interview that day. It's really important. Before I could even finish, Dad sighed loudly. "Maybe you should just skip it. You know, don't set yourself up for disappointment." Savannah snorted into her wine glass. "Nina, seriously? Morrison and Tate? You're dreaming. You'll never make it." I swallowed hard. Stayed quiet. And I made my choice. I was never the favorite child. Not even close. Growing up in a quiet suburb outside Charleston, Savannah was the one who could do no wrong. She was everything my parents wanted: pretty, outgoing, high-achieving. She got good grades, was a cheerleader, married her high school boyfriend Landon at 23, and popped out 2 blonde-haired blue-eyed babies by 30. Me? I was the other daughter. I stumbled through college with a communications degree from a local school no one had heard of. Worked part-time jobs to cover rent in a drafty apartment downtown. Ate a lot of ramen. Dated a few guys who didn't treat me well. I didn't have much to brag about at family get-togethers. Still, I had dreams. They just weren't loud, like Savannah's. They were the kind you watered quietly every night, hoping they'd grow in the dark. For years, I built a portfolio. I worked freelance gigs late into the night. I took courses online during lunch breaks. All leading up to one shot, a marketing strategist position at Morrison & Tate, one of the top firms in Atlanta. The interview invitation came in a neat, polished email. Final round. Saturday at noon. I couldn't believe it. I floated for days after I got it. Until the family dinner. Savannah announced her 10th anniversary party like it was the second coming of Christ. Venue booked, big open vineyard just outside town. Catering from some new fancy farm-to-table restaurant. Guest list? Practically half the town. When I spoke up about my interview, the room felt like it shifted. Mom's face fell. Dad rubbed his temples like I was giving him a headache. "You're really going to miss your sister's big day for a pipe dream?" Mom said. Savannah laughed in my face. Not even pretending to be nice about it. "It's not like you're actually going to get the job. You're not Morrison and Tate material, Nina." I don't know how I kept from crying. I wanted to scream, "You don't know what I'm capable of." But instead, I nodded and said nothing. Maybe part of me was used to it. Used to the idea that, no matter what I did, it would never be enough. The week leading up to the interview was cruel. Text after text from Mom. Passive-aggressive calls from Dad. One long message from Savannah, telling me how family sticks together and how if you miss this party, don't bother showing up for anything else. I muted my phone and focused. The night before, I barely slept. Packed my thrift store business suit into a clean bag. Ironed my only decent white blouse 3 times. Practiced interview answers in the mirror until my voice cracked. At dawn, I slipped out of my apartment, got in my beat-up Corolla, and drove the 4 hours to Atlanta. It was a foggy morning, the kind where the highway looked like it disappeared into the sky. I was terrified. But somewhere under the fear, there was something else too. Hope. The Morrison & Tate building was massive, all sleek glass and brushed steel, standing like a fortress against the downtown skyline. Inside, it smelled like money, clean, expensive, confident. Waiting in the lobby, I watched people in sharp suits glide past. For a moment, doubt gnawed at me. I didn't belong here. But then I thought about all the nights I spent working, studying, crying. No one gave me anything. I earned every step here. When my name was called, I straightened my back and walked in. The interview was intense. 5 people on the panel, rapid-fire questions. But I held my own. When they asked why I wanted the position, I didn't recite some canned answer. I told them the truth, that I knew what it was like to build something from nothing. That no one would work harder than me. They smiled. They nodded. They took notes. I walked out 2 hours later feeling like a different person. Meanwhile, back home, Savannah's perfect party was falling apart. I found out through a series of frantic voicemails. Apparently, the weather forecast had predicted clear skies. Savannah, in her usual cocky way, didn't bother booking a tent. Midway through the outdoor setup, a surprise thunderstorm rolled in, South Carolina style, heavy and fast. The decorations? Destroyed. The rented tables and chairs? Soaked. The cake? A soggy mess of frosting and heartbreak. Then the caterer bailed, their van got stuck in the muddy parking lot and they refused to risk the rest of their food. Savannah called me 6 times. Mom texted things like, "Nina, we need you." Dad even left a voicemail saying, "Maybe you can fix this mess?" Why? Because during college, one of my side gigs had been working event setups. I had contacts with backup vendors. I knew how to pull off miracles on a budget. Suddenly, the loser daughter was their only hope. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed in Atlanta, staring at my buzzing phone. For a moment, I thought about it. Part of me still craved their approval. Still wanted to be needed. But then I thought about Savannah laughing at me. I thought about my parents looking embarrassed every time I opened my mouth. And I realized, they didn't want me. They wanted what I could do for them. Slowly, deliberately, I put my phone face down on the nightstand. And I left it there. That evening, while my family scrambled to salvage Savannah's wrecked party, I celebrated alone with a slice of greasy pizza from a dive bar around the corner. It was the best pizza I ever ate. The next morning, I woke up to a dozen missed calls. Mom, Dad, Savannah, even Landon, all blowing up my phone. There were voicemails too, each one more desperate than the last. The first few were angry, "Where the heck are you, Nina?" But as the night went on, they shifted into pleading. "Please call us back. We need you. Please. The whole thing's a disaster. People are leaving. Your sister's in tears." I didn't call back. I didn't even listen to the rest. Instead, I showered, checked out of the hotel, and took myself out for breakfast at a little diner 2 blocks away. It was the first time in years I could hear my own thoughts without someone else's voice telling me I wasn't enough. I ordered pancakes, bacon, and a coffee, and while I was halfway through my meal, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown Atlanta number. I almost ignored it, thinking it was just another spam call, but something told me to pick up. It was Morrison and Tate. The voice on the other end was crisp, professional. "We'd like to formally offer you the position, Nina," the woman said. "You made quite an impression yesterday. We'd be lucky to have you on board." I sat there, blinking at my half-eaten pancakes, feeling a lump rise in my throat. "Thank you," I said, somehow managing to keep my voice steady. "Thank you so much." They emailed me the offer letter before I even left the diner. Full benefits. Salary higher than anything I'd ever dreamed of making. A relocation bonus if I needed it. I sat in my car afterward, staring at the offer email, letting it all sink in. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving. I was wanted. Not out of obligation, not out of guilt, but because someone saw my worth. It felt like someone had lifted 1,000 pounds off my chest. The drive back to Charleston was surreal. The sun was shining, the roads were clear, and I blasted music from the radio, singing along badly and not caring one bit. Every mile that passed felt like shedding a layer of old skin. By the time I pulled into my apartment complex, I saw I had even more missed calls. Messages too. "Mom, we need to talk." "Dad, when are you coming over?" Savannah, you could have warned us you weren't coming. No congratulations. No, how did your interview go? It was like that part of my life didn't even exist to them. Later that evening, there was a knock at my door. Hard and urgent. I peeked through the peephole. It was Mom and Savannah. For a second, I thought about not answering. But some part of me, maybe the stubborn part that still wanted closure, opened the door. Mom didn't even say hello. We needed you, she snapped, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Savannah followed, her arms crossed, still wearing the remnants of her ruined party outfit, a muddy, wrinkled pastel dress. You ditched your family, Savannah said bitterly. For what? Some stupid interview you probably explosive anyway? I leaned against the counter, arms folded, calm. I got the job, I said. Dead silence. Mom blinked. Savannah's mouth actually fell open. I'm moving to Atlanta, I added. I start in 2 weeks. They didn't congratulate me. Of course they didn't. Instead, Mom said, "You're really going to just leave us? After everything we've done for you?" I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all, after years of being dismissed, belittled, mocked, and now they wanted to guilt-trip me for doing the one thing they said I couldn't. Savannah's face twisted into something ugly. You think you're better than us now, she said. I shrugged. No. I just think I'm better than the version of me you've always tried to keep small. That shut them up. For the first time, maybe ever, I watched my sister and my mother struggle for words, because there was nothing they could say that would make me go back to who I used to be. After a long awkward pause, Mom sighed, softening her tone. You're still part of this family, she said. We can work this out. I shook my head. I'm done working to earn a place that should have been mine to begin with. I walked to the door and held it open. Invitation over. They left, stiff and silent. I closed the door behind them, locked it, and leaned my forehead against the cool wood. My hands were shaking, but it wasn't fear. It was adrenaline. For the first time, I wasn't their scapegoat. I wasn't their fallback plan. I was my own person. And I wasn't going to apologize for it. The days after that were weird. At first, it was quiet, too quiet. No calls. No texts. Nothing. I packed up my apartment in peace, boxing up years of my life into neat little piles. My lease was up at the end of the month, so the timing couldn't have been better. I donated most of my old furniture to a local charity, keeping only the things that really mattered. It felt freeing. Like shedding old skin I didn't need anymore. I handed in my notice at my 2 part-time jobs. My managers were sad to see me go, but genuinely happy for me. Go kick ass out there, my boss at the coffee shop said, clapping me on the shoulder. For the first time in years, I felt like people actually wanted me to succeed, not just tolerate me. Then, like clockwork, the family pulled me back in. It started with small things. Mom dropping off extra groceries at my door without warning. Dad showing up under the guise of helping me pack, but mostly just snooping through my stuff and making passive comments. You sure you can handle the city life? He asked once, holding up a battered frying pan. Not everyone makes it out there. Big world. Cold world. I nodded, taping up another box, not taking the bait. Savannah was worse. She'd leave fake sweet voicemails, layered with guilt. Just thinking about how much the kids are going to miss their favorite aunt. Would be a shame if you missed their birthdays this year. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me still flinched at the thought of disappointing them, even after everything. It was like they sensed I was slipping away for real this time, and they didn't like it. A week before the move, Mom cornered me again. I was picking up cleaning supplies from the Dollar General when she spotted me in the parking lot. Of course she made a beeline right for me, clutching her purse like it contained the meaning of life. You don't have to do this, she said without preamble. You could stay here. We could help you find something local. Your father knows people. Landon's company is hiring. I shook my head. I already accepted the offer, Mom. Her face tightened. It's not too late to say no. Family should come first. There it was again. The same old song. I wanted to tell her that family should come first, but that it only works when the family actually supports you, not tears you down. But I didn't. I just said, I need to do this for me, and turned away. She didn't follow. As moving day crept closer, a tiny, ugly voice inside me started whispering doubts. What if they were right? What if I couldn't cut it? What if Atlanta ate me alive and spat me out? At night, lying on my mattress on the floor, because I'd sold my bed frame, I would stare up at the ceiling and feel that old, familiar weight pressing down. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I was still that scared little girl trying to prove she mattered. 2 days before the move, Savannah texted again. Can we talk? Just that. No accusations. No guilt trips. Maybe she was finally ready to apologize. Maybe she realized how wrong she'd been. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her for coffee. We chose a neutral spot, a small coffee shop near the highway, halfway between her house and my apartment. Neutral ground. When I walked in, she was already there, sipping some kind of iced drink with whipped cream and caramel dripping down the sides. She didn't stand up. Didn't smile. Hey, I said, sliding into the chair across from her. She didn't waste time. So you're really leaving? I nodded. She stirred her drink aggressively, little splashes of coffee hitting the table. You know Mom's really upset. Dad too. I know, I said quietly. Savannah leaned in, lowering her voice. Honestly, I just don't get it, Nina. You're not like a big city person. You're not built for that kind of life. It wasn't said cruelly. More like it was just obvious to her. A fact. Like the sky being blue. I swallowed hard. Maybe I am, I said. Maybe you just never looked close enough. She stared at me for a long time. And for a split second, I thought I saw something in her eyes, regret, maybe. Or fear. Like she knew, deep down, she was losing me for good. But Savannah being Savannah, she couldn't leave it at that. Don't come crawling back when it doesn't work out, she said finally, lifting her cup for another dramatic sip. I smiled, not a fake smile, not a bitter one. A real one. Don't worry, I said. I won't. Walking out of that coffee shop, the sun hit my face in full force, warm and blinding. I pulled my sunglasses on, slid behind the wheel of my car, and for the first time in a long time, I felt nothing tying me here anymore. Not fear. Not obligation. Not guilt. Only possibility. Moving day came faster than I expected. The morning was humid, the kind of sticky heat Charleston was famous for. I loaded the last of my boxes into the rented van, feeling sweat trickle down my back. No big family send-off. No tearful goodbyes. Just me, a half-full moving truck, and the open road. As I strapped the last box in place, my phone buzzed again, another message from Mom. Call me before you leave. I didn't. Not out of spite, but because there was nothing left to say. The drive to Atlanta was long and hot, but strangely peaceful. I played old playlists, songs I hadn't listened to in years, belting them out over the roar of the highway. Each mile away from Charleston felt lighter, like I was peeling away the heavy layers that had been draped over me my whole life. When I crossed the Georgia state line, I actually hooped out loud in the truck. I didn't even care if the drivers around me thought I was crazy. I was free. Scared, yes. But free. My new apartment was small but bright, tucked into a lively part of Atlanta near Piedmont Park. 3rd floor, tiny balcony, old hardwood floors that creaked when you walked just right. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I spent the first night eating cheap takeout on the floor, surrounded by unopened boxes. No furniture yet, just a mattress and a folding chair I had grabbed from Walmart. The city buzzed outside my window, cars, sirens, laughter, life. It was overwhelming. But it was beautiful, too. The first week at Morrison and Tate was a blur. The building was even more intimidating up close, towering windows, sleek hallways, people who walked with purpose like they owned the place. I felt like an imposter at first. Like any minute, someone would tap me on the shoulder and say, "Sorry, there's been a mistake. You don't belong here." But that moment never came. Instead, my manager, Laura Whitmore, a sharp but kind woman in her 40s, took me under her wing. "You've got good instincts, Nina," she told me after my first client pitch. "Don't let anyone make you second-guess yourself." It was the first time in a long time someone in authority said something like that to me, without strings attached. I clung to those words like a life raft. Of course, it wasn't perfect. Atlanta was bigger, busier, louder than I expected. Parking was a nightmare. Groceries were more expensive. Sometimes I woke up in the middle of the night panicking, wondering what the heck I had done, wondering if I was crazy for leaving everything I knew behind. And then, right on cue, the family started pushing again. At first, it was little things. Mom sent pictures of the grandkids every few days, usually with a caption like "missing you," or "wish you were here for this." Then it escalated. A week after I started work, she called while I was at lunch. I almost ignored it, but a gut feeling told me to answer. Her voice was high and tight, like she was holding back tears. "Your father's been feeling really down lately," she said. "He says the house feels empty without you girls around." I pressed the phone harder to my ear. "Mom," I said carefully, "Savannah lives 10 minutes away. She's over there all the time." Mom sniffed loudly. "It's not the same. He misses you. We all do." There was a long pause. "You should come visit next weekend." I stared down at my half-eaten sandwich. "I just moved here," I said. "I'm still getting settled. I can't." Another pause. "I just thought you'd prioritize family," she said quietly. The words hit harder than I wanted to admit. After I hung up, guilt gnawed at me all afternoon. Even though I knew better, even though I understood their tactics now, part of me still hated the thought of being the bad daughter. That night, I sat on my tiny balcony, watching the city lights twinkle, and thought about how easy it would be to slip back into the role they wanted me to play. Apologize. Come home for weekends. Put their needs first. Shrink myself down again until I fit the version of me they were comfortable with. But I couldn't. Not this time. I had clawed my way out. I wasn't going back. Savannah, of course, found her own way to wedge herself back in too. She started sending group texts, big family chats that I was now somehow included in again. Pictures of backyard barbecues. Family game nights. Kids' soccer matches. Always with the same underlying message, "See all the things you're missing?" And if I didn't respond fast enough, she'd send another text separately, "Must be nice, being too busy for family now." It would have been so easy to fire back something nasty. To list every time they had ignored or belittled me. But I didn't. I just let the silence speak for itself. Meanwhile, Atlanta slowly started feeling like home. I made friends at work, real friends, people who invited me out for drinks after hours, who listened when I spoke without cutting me off or rolling their eyes. I found a favorite coffee shop a few blocks away where the barista already knew my order by the second week. I went for long walks in Piedmont Park, sometimes getting lost on purpose, just to remind myself that I was capable of finding my own way. Every day that passed, I felt a little stronger. A little more sure that I had made the right choice. Of course, nothing good ever lasts without someone trying to pull you back. One evening, about a month into my new job, I got a text from Mom, "Your father isn't doing well. Please call us. It's serious." The bottom dropped out of my stomach. For a moment, I sat frozen on my tiny couch, phone clutched in my hand. I knew my parents, knew how they could exaggerate, but what if this time it was real? What if something had happened and I wasn't there? That old panic started to creep in again, whispering ugly things. You're selfish. You're a bad daughter. You'll regret this. I closed my eyes, heart pounding. I needed to be sure. I needed to find out the truth. But I also needed to be careful. Because I knew, better than anyone, that guilt was their favorite weapon. My fingers hovered over the screen for a long moment before I finally called. Mom answered on the first ring, her voice sharp and trembling, like she had been crying for hours. Nina, your father's been feeling worse and worse. His blood pressure's through the roof. He's barely sleeping. He's been asking for you nonstop. I felt the hook being baited, slow and deliberate. What do the doctors say? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Mom faltered. Well, he hasn't actually gone to the doctor yet. But he says he feels awful. He needs his family around him. I sat back against the couch, my stomach knotting. There it was, the truth peeking out. No official diagnosis. No emergency room visit. Just emotional blackmail. Again. I hung up politely, promising to think about it. Then I sat there, staring at the ceiling, letting the anger simmer beneath the sadness. They hadn't changed. They weren't sorry. They weren't proud of me. They just wanted to control me, the way they always had. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Not scream. Not fight. Not argue. Just show them. The next morning, I requested 2 days off from work. Not to go home. Not to go running back to Charleston. But to finalize something I had been putting off since I got the job, my Atlanta roots. I opened a new bank account, local only. Updated my driver's license to a Georgia address. Registered for a networking event downtown that weekend. Signed up for a local charity volunteer program Morrison and Tate sponsored, connecting me even deeper into the community. I was planting myself here. Officially. No more being Charleston Nina. No more being the afterthought sister. I was done living in their shadow. Later that week, I posted a photo online, something I almost never did. Just a simple shot, me, smiling wide, holding the keys to my new Atlanta apartment door with a caption, home. Finally. Within an hour, the texts poured in. Mom, you're really not coming back, are you? Savannah, wow. Guess you really don't care about family after all. Dad, the only text he ever sent, good luck. Hope you don't regret this. I didn't respond. Not with words. Instead, I let my life answer for me. Weeks turned into months. My work at Morrison and Tate flourished. I got assigned to bigger clients. Was asked to lead a major project 6 months ahead of schedule. I made real friends, ones who didn't roll their eyes when I talked about my dreams. I found a book club. Started attending yoga classes in the park on Saturdays. I even adopted a rescue dog, a scrappy little mutt named Waffles who followed me around like a second shadow. The nights I used to spend replaying old family arguments in my head. I now spent laughing over takeout with friends, exploring new neighborhoods, binge-watching bad TV shows without guilt. The family didn't give up right away, of course. They invited me to every birthday party, every barbecue, every last-minute gathering, each time acting surprised and hurt when I said, "Sorry, I can't make it." Mom called once on Thanksgiving, voice dripping with guilt. "We set a place for you, you know," she said. "As if you were going to just show up." I smiled, even though she couldn't see me. "Happy Thanksgiving, Mom," I said. And hung up. Then came the real revenge, the kind they never saw coming. Morrison and Tate announced a new regional expansion, opening a satellite office in Charleston. Guess who was handpicked to help oversee it? Me. I didn't even have to apply. Laura called me into her office, all smiles, saying, "You've been instrumental to our growth, Nina. We'd love for you to lead some of the remote operations, you'll have complete autonomy." Which meant, I could oversee Charleston operations. Set policies. Hire and fire staff. Represent Morrison and Tate's brand back in my old town, my town now, on my terms. I drove into Charleston for the first time in almost a year, rolling into town with a rented SUV, wearing a tailored suit that Savannah wouldn't dare mock. The firm had rented out one of the biggest conference rooms at a major hotel downtown. We were there to scout talent, offer local businesses new marketing partnerships, and announce Morrison and Tate's arrival with style. It was an open event, anyone in the industry could come. And guess who showed up? Savannah. And Landon. And even Mom and Dad, hovering in the back, pretending they just happened to be there. They didn't recognize me at first, not fully. Until they saw me walking across the stage, microphone in hand, giving the keynote presentation. Until they saw the local business owners shaking my hand afterward, eager to work with me. Until they heard my title, Senior Marketing Strategist, Regional Expansion Lead. The look on Savannah's face? Priceless. Afterward, they hovered awkwardly near the refreshment table. I could have gone over. I could have rubbed it in. But I didn't need to. I just smiled politely, nodded once from across the room, and went right back to my colleagues, the people who respected me for what I brought to the table. Savannah watched me go, clutching her sad little glass of lemonade, stuck in the same small circle that had always been enough for her. And me? I wasn't in that circle anymore. I had built a whole new world. A bigger one. A better one. A life they could no longer reach. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.